all slept in my parents' room. Me and my sibling and my parents all slept in their room that night. Me and her slept on a blow-up mattress on the floor. And I didn't sleep too comfortably that night, but at the same time, it wasn't so bad because I did have my whole family with me in the same room. So I didn't feel so alone. It wasn't so bad, but it was scary. And I don't think any of us got any sleep that night either. The next morning, I wake up to my mother shaking me, screaming crazy nonsense about, it's a demon, there's demons, something's evil, oh my God, like what's going on? She proceeds to tell me that she went into my room this morning, snooping, and she found the Bible that was left open and it was closed. And nobody had been in there. She was the first one to wake up, and that's what she woke up to, was a closed Bible. And that, was another big upstir of me and the decisions that I made that had put my family in the position that they were in. And my father, decides to sit me down, and he's talking to me for once instead of yelling at me. And he's talking to me about my life and the decisions that I'm making and, this path that I'm going down by doing Wicca. And, begs me to go to church and to give Christianity a chance again. And at that time, I still feel the same way now that I did then. I was just out of options. I had nothing else to do. This was my only option, and I wanted it to stop. Not that I particularly wanted to give Wicca up because I enjoyed it, and I just enjoyed doing it. But my safety and my family's safety was more important. I didn't know what else to do, so I threw all my Wicca stuff away, gave it away, and started half-heartedly going to church again. I was doing it half-heartedly because I wasn't sure if it's really what I wanted to do, but things started to get a little better for me after that, but things happened to my father after that. After I started going to church and I got rid of all my Wiccan things, stuff started happening more to my dad. I remember him telling me one time when he was out playing music that there was a song, and I can't remember what the song title, the name of the song was, and I'm sure that nobody that is going to be listening to this would care because it's country music. But in the song, there's a part where they talk about making a deal with the devil, and it's not that fiddling song. It's not that song. But it's just one line in there where it talks about making a deal with the devil, and him and my grandfather, who is also in his band, they debated on whether or not to change it. And, one of the other band members was like, oh, what's the big deal? Don't change it. Just sing it the way it is. It's not a big deal. And they went and they sang the song, and whenever they got to that spot, as soon as my dad went to say devil, every single amp they had, and that's all their equipment, their music equipment. My dad's bass amp, my grandfather's, guitar amp, any of the other amps that were set up, all blew. All. I mean, they were useless. They all blew at the same time. And it wasn't a shortage because none of the lights or anything went off in the place. It just, all their music equipment blew at once.
Wow.
Pretty unexplainable.
Yeah.
My dad also woke up one morning with several boils and blisters. They weren't really, boils and blisters are kind of the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, it was more blisters. It wasn't boils. He had blisters all over his hands, which my father is a carpenter, but he was laid off work and got blisters on his hands the day before he had to go back to work, which is also very strange. Just strange. A lot of strange things happened to him. I never saw anything that happened to him. I mean, I saw physical evidence of the blisters on his hands, but everything that happened to him was stuff that he had told me. I hadn't seen or been a part of it. Um, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else notable that happened to him. Um, but I think that pretty much sums it up with his experiences that I can remember him telling me. But things, went on like that for about another month. We all slept in the same room for a month, it sucked. It started to suck, but we didn't know what else to do. And me and my father, who had already been baptized before, he wanted to be rebaptized. And he asked me if that was something that I'd be interested in. We could do it together. So I made a conscious, decision that I needed to get baptized. I thought that, this was going to be the thing that was going to take care of it once and for all, and, that God was going to take care of me and my family, and he was going to help us out, and this is what I needed to do, because I acknowledge, Jesus Christ as my Savior, and I acknowledge God, and I need to get baptized. So we set up to get baptized, and about a week before, and that whole week was fine. Nothing really notable happened, because we tried, whenever we were in the house, we tried not to be alone. But of course, me not being able to go into my room, and I'm 15 years old, you can imagine how that is for a 15-year-old girl to not be able to go in her room.
Yeah.
Hormones and rage and bitchiness flying everywhere. I was a raging bitch. I did go in my room occasionally, but if I ever started to feel really weird, I would leave my room. But one night, the night before I got baptized, and this is the climax to my tale, good sir. I keep saying that. The night before I got baptized, I'm laying in my room, and I'm watching TV. I don't know where my family was. They were in the other parts of the house. I'm laying in my room, and I'm watching TV, and I start to get that not-so-alone feeling. I'm laying in bed, and I get that not-alone feeling, and, I'm just feel so anxious inside. Anxiety starts setting in, and I feel it, but at the same time, I'm anxious and I'm scared, but at the same time, I'm getting baptized tomorrow. So, that fear, I kind of push it aside, and I'm kind of, what emotion? It's a good emotion to describe it. I was scared, but I was also, I don't know, kind of like laughing, like I was laughing at it, because I felt like tomorrow was going to solve all my problems. So I was kind of mockingly. I was scared, but I was like, after tomorrow, I won't have to deal with you anymore. That's how I felt. And so I just said out loud, I voiced what I was feeling, and I said something along the lines of, you don't have a place here anymore, and you need to leave now. And not even a second after I got out the word now, immense pressure was around my neck, like I was being choked to death. I mean, it was not even like being choked by a normal person. It was, which I have been. It was something so much stronger. Like, I don't even know. Like, I felt like my neck was going to break, and I was flopping around on my bed like a fish out of water. I was tearing. I felt like I was going to die. And I ended up being able to screech out, in the name of Jesus Christ, leave. And it stopped. And, after the flailing and the screaming, my family rushes in and, oh my God, what happened and blah, blah, blah. And, we've told you not to be back here by yourself.
Did
Get
you
the
have
whole
any
speech every time something happens. Um,
Did you have any marks
you know,
on your neck?
huh?
Did you have any marks on your neck afterwards?
Yes, I did. Um, Small ones, very small, which is actually kind of crazy considering, which it might be just the way that I felt in the moment because it was happening to me, but there were marks. They weren't very prominent marks, not conducive to with the pressure that I felt. But there were slight marks on my neck, and after that happened, my father had just kind of hit a breaking point, and he called the preacher, and, no, this is late at night. Well, it's not late at night, but it's too late to call the preacher. It was like, it had to be after 9:30. So, calls the preacher and tells the preacher everything that's been going on, tells him everything, which is, that was really a breaking point for him. Because, just like with typical closed-minded Christian people, they don't want people to know what is going on because it's kind of like it's embarrassing, So they didn't want to tell the preacher anything about any of this. Even whenever we started going to church regularly and everything, we just kept everything really quiet and didn't tell anybody because my dad was ashamed, and he didn't think anybody would believe him because before him seeing that and experiencing everything he experienced, he didn't believe it, and he didn't believe in things like that, and he thought that people who, talked about experiences that they had or said that they had experienced or seen something, he thought all those people were crazy or they just wanted attention, and now he was sitting in their shoes. So he didn't want to come out, because he didn't want to be judged. But he ended up calling the preacher and telling the preacher everything. And that night, the preacher came out and blessed our home, walked around the yard, blessed the yard, walked into every room of the house, reading from the Bible, and he even had holy water, which was kind of cool because he was Baptist, and I didn't know Baptist people carried holy water. I thought that was a Catholic thing. But it might have something to do with just the general cleansing of the home ritual. I don't know. But he blessed the home, and after he blessed the home, it did feel like a weight was lifted. We still slept in the same room that night, and then the next day we went to church, and me and my father baptized together, and we never had anything like that happen again, ever. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, and after the house blessing and the baptizing, nothing ever happened again like that, which I'm very grateful for because that was a nightmare that I had to live through for 2.5 months, and it was one of the scariest times of my life. And if I could go back, I would definitely not have been doing the Ouija boards, the spirit boards, trying to contact the dead. I would not have done any of that. But they say everything happens for a reason, and I did learn a lot from the experience. But yeah, I definitely will never make that mistake again, and I urge everyone that is listening to heed my words and never pick up a Ouija board, ever.
Oh, wow. That's quite a story. Was there ever any doubt in your mind that what was going on was real?
Sometimes in the beginning, yes. Whenever it first started happening, that first month, I did somewhat doubt it, because I had never really experienced anything like that before, on that level. I felt like, I was kind of crazy. You see those shows on TV about people talking about their paranormal experiences or, this or that, ghost hunters and stuff, and, you just kind of chalk it up to being fake or make-believe, and, then it happens to you, and, it's kind of, you don't know whether it's a dream or it's real. And when you realize it's real, you wish it was a dream.
Did you ever try to reach out to anybody about what was happening?
The only person that I tried to reach out to was my friend who had gotten me into it, and her way of wanting to deal with it was to communicate with it. And before all that happened, I was never cool with doing Ouija boards and seances anyway. I didn't, it scared me. I didn't understand it, and I didn't really want to understand it, and I didn't feel like I needed to understand it or do it to be an active member in the Wiccan community. Other than her, I did not reach out to anyone because I didn't know anyone. And, like I said, I couldn't really talk to my family about it. So, no, I didn't reach out to anyone.
Has anything happened? Has anything happened to you since this that has been questionable as to maybe something coming back for you?
No, I have never had an experience similar to that experience since then. I am a Christian now. I might not be the best Christian in the world, but I definitely have God on my side, and He protects me. And no, I haven't. Thank God for that.
All right, well, I think that's all the questions we have for you. I thank you for being on the show and sharing your story with us.
Well, it's no problem, dude. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be able to express it openly without the judgment. So I really appreciate you having me on.
All right, if you have any stories to share with us, if you would like to be a guest on the show, if you have any questions, or if there's a topic you would like to hear discussed on the show, you can reach me at thebeyond_pi@hotmail.com, all lowercase. Again, thebeyond_pi@hotmail.com. Or you can join my group on Facebook, The Beyond Paranormal Investigations. Good night, and thanks for listening, everybody.